Don't know what to say, Ted Chen.
Friends, first-time friends, ever since I was a little kid, I didn't know what to say. Other than the superficial thank yous, I didn't know how to convey my feelings and my emotions. I feel a great amount of regret over this because I feel that I didn't fully show how thankful I am to my loved ones for their care and their presence. This is the case for my parents, my sisters, and this is especially the case for my aunt. Now, my aunt was a very beautiful woman. She was caring and thoughtful, and she had a very short temper for badly behaving kids. When I was 6 years old, my aunt was in her early 30s. Now, during those times, it's quite uncommon for a woman of her age to be single. So my cousins and I will often go up to her and ask in our sweetest, cutest kid voice ever and say, "Auntie, when are you gonna get married? You should have a kid earlier." We were kind of mean to her. But we were 6. We didn't know anything about having kids. We were just copying what the other adults were saying. She would always say, "I told you already, I'll get married next year." "But you said that last year already." And this would go on and on and on until she finally snaps and starts chasing after us and yelling, "Stop right there, you annoying little kids!" And me, being the slowest of them all, would get caught and get smacked by her. Those were some fun times of torturing my aunt. But I wasn't always a bad kid. When I was a good kid, sometimes, my aunt loved to shower me with toys. And during those times, she would bring me out to department stores so we can buy the toys together. And at that time, I was infatuated with the old Japanese Godzilla movies. You see, normal little boys like dinosaurs. Awesome little boys love dinosaurs who can spit radioactive waste from his mouth. How crazy is that, right? So of course, I ran and got the Godzilla toy. And when I gave it to my aunt, I saw a tiny cringe on her face. Since the Godzilla toy was from the official company, it was quite expensive. Thinking back on it now, I believe it's roughly equivalent to 2 full days' pay for her. So she looked at the toy, and then she looked at me, and then she smiled. Quickly paid for it with no hesitations. I got the toy. I was so thankful. I was so happy. I had all this joy that I wanted to share with her. But I didn't know what to say. I had all these feelings, and they just seemed to be stuck in my throat. In the end, all I could say was, "Thank you, Auntie." That was it. Then I got home and got smacked crazy by my mother because I made my aunt pay for such an expensive toy for me. Thanks, Godzilla. Thanks. But this suffering I went through was nothing compared to what my aunt had to go through 15 years later. 15 years later, when I was 21, my aunt got diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. The whole family was shocked by this, but there was no time to lose, so the doctors quickly gave her a bill of treatments to go through. She had a single mastectomy to remove all her breasts. She had a series of chemotherapies, which took away her beautiful long hair, turned her natural skin color to a pale, grayish color. Everyone was so sad to see her like this. So we went to see her at the hospital. Everyone gave her a great pep talk on feeling better and wishing her well. And when it was my turn, I had this great urge to share my love and my worries with her. I wanted to comfort my aunt that I loved so much. I wanted her to feel better, faster. I wanted her to be healthy so she could chase us annoying kids. around the house again. And all I could muster up was, feel better, Auntie. Feel better. She smiled. She looked at me and asked how I was doing. Then she started to comfort me and said that life can be unpredictable. And it's okay that way. Let me ask you a question. What kind of a lousy nephew lets his aunt, who's sitting on the hospital bed, comfort him and his feelings instead? This lousy guy. And lousy wouldn't even begin to describe how the next few years went for her. She was in partial remission for a little while, which is great, but in less than 2 years, she had to go through chemotherapies again. And every time she finished the sessions, she was so beat up, so tired, and she almost always have to puke afterwards too. But she was determined to see it to the end. She was determined to win over cancer. She wanted to live. She wanted to see her sons grow up and lead a healthy, happy life. She gave it her all, and she gave it her best. But like she said, life can be unpredictable. A few weeks ago, my aunt left us. Before she left us, my cousins went to the hospital to see her and Skype with us so we can say our last words to her. When the phone connected, first I heard the constant beeping and humming of the hospital equipment. Then I saw her. She was unconscious and had lots of tubes stuck to her. And underneath the oxygen mask and her hospital gown, I could see a sunk-in face and a body that was skinny to the bones. I stared at the screen again. I didn't know what to say. I stared at the screen and I started to cry. I cried and I cried and I cried. I cried for 3 minutes straight without saying anything. And then finally I decided it's time to say my last words to her. And this is where I could show you how bad I am with this kind of stuff. I started out by saying, "Thank you, Auntie, for all those toys you bought me when I was a kid." What kind of a person says that in their last words? And I said, "Thank you for playing with us when we were kids. Thank you for all the care that you put into us." And I stopped. I didn't know what else to say. Then I had all this feeling pent up and I just couldn't get it out of me. I wondered to myself, why couldn't I just express myself more freely? Why couldn't I just do it? I was so frustrated and I hated myself so much at that moment. And I began to break down furthermore. My cousin turned the camera screen back to him. I looked at him. I just said, "I'm sorry. I just don't know what else to say. I don't know how to say the last words." He looked at me and he said, "Ted, tell her I love you. I think she would like that." So as the camera turned back towards her, I looked at her straight on in the face. And I told her, "I love you, Auntie. I love you." And that was the last time that I ever saw my aunt. And I hope she heard me. Friends, first time friends, if you don't want to live through life with the same kind of regret that I have, then starting today, try to be more expressive with your feelings. Be more expressive to your loved ones. don't live through life without knowing what to say.